Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. In today's episode we're going to talk about credit cards and why credit cards are bad. Now I know what you're going to say immediately, that credit cards are good and they're the only way to build up your credit history, but they in the long run may hurt you more than they provide the benefit. So we're going to talk all about this in this episode, so stay tuned. Before we continue, please like, comment and subscribe. If you appreciate these kinds of videos, it will help me a lot. And I really want to say thank you already to all my subscribers that have subscribed. Now, without any further ado, let's talk about why credit cards are bad. The number one reason why the credit cards are bad is because they make you spend more than you actually want to, and significantly more than if you were to pay cash. There's research from MIT which shows that people who actually use credit card to pay for their stuff end up spending about twice as much as if they were to pay cash. The reason behind this is because if you pay cash, actually this has some sort of a behavioral negative effect on you. It basically tells your brain that, okay, my hard-earned cash, I'm having to spend it and buy this item, and then I'm gonna have less cash in my pocket. If you're using a credit card, not seeing that money leaving out your wallet, there's no friction, let's say. There's nothing that makes your brain say, hey, am I sure I wanna spend this? So take a look at this MIT study. I really recommend it. It's really interesting. If you want to win the game of financial freedom and becoming financially independent, you have to think about how you can force yourself into a behavior which does not allow you to overspend. Eliminating those factors or those things that make it easy for you to spend is probably the best thing that you can do to shield yourself or guard yourself from exhibiting that behavior of overspending. Now, what are the implications of using credit cards? The implications are that many people end up being in debt, and cumulatively, actually, there's studies done that show that the total amount of overspend is north of $1 trillion. Now, that's a big number. And what's more, if you look at the breakdown actually yearly, that spend has been growing gradually. I mean, it's not doubling or anything every year, but it's steadily growing, and that's a significant overspend. If you look at the breakdown of those numbers, you'll see that banks are charging all kinds of fees and interest, and they ultimately make you poor and make them rich. So they get your money to feed off of transactions and fees and all sorts of interest that they're charging you. And if you look at that breakdown, each one of those categories of fees, they're basically billions of dollars. So that trend of increased spend of people in general in the US can also be attributed to as people get higher salaries, they end up spending more on credit cards and they end up being more in debt. If you want to be financially independent and if you want to be in control, then you ought to look at how much are you using your credit card, and is that really helping you in your journey and in your goal to become financially independent. Now, credit cards are not only bad, credit cards are good for a number of things. Number one, you can build your credit history, and I can definitely hear people saying, but yeah, okay, how am I going to build my credit history if I don't have a credit card? Valid point. In the US, you want to have a credit card, you want to pay it off diligently so you can build up your credit score, and then you can be able to qualify for mortgage, for car lease, etc. That's a valid point. The only thing that I want to stress is whether you're able to manage that. And if you're not, then you're stuck in a limbo of increasing debt. What else? Credit cards are also good for extra protection, right? If you have a charge and somebody steals your credit card or something happens, then the bank is automatically cancels your credit card, issues you a new one in a couple of days. You have a new one in the mail and you're good to go. Fair point. Credit cards also have these extra protection. For some items, they give you extra warranty. That is okay. You can even earn cashback, and that's my biggest message I want to tell you. Credit cards, which are reward credit cards, with whether they give you cashback or any kind of reward points, extra miles, those are really a trap. If you think about it, the banks and those financial institutions, they're trying to give you perks and things that will entice you to spend more on your credit card. Why? Because they know that on average, you're not going to be able to pay off what you spent and you're going to owe them interest. So they're making a lot of money by those transactions because they know you're going to be motivated to get extra miles or get some cash back, etc. But think about it, examine the amount of money that you're spending and see that actually to get that cash back, to get that real payoff, to see anything in your bank statement, you actually encouraged to spend more. And spending more is not originally what you wanted to do, right? If you were to pay cash, you wouldn't be thinking, oh, I need to buy an extra, item or two so I can get up to a threshold so I can get the cash back. Same thing with the miles. If you are, reaching a certain level with your airline that you're flying regularly, or if you want to earn extra points towards free miles that you can use later on, you're motivated to add a lot more and use your credit card a lot more. But then what ends up happening is you have miles, and most of the time, again, statistics show that over 50, 60, 70% of people don't use the miles that they've accumulated or they earned through these rewards cards. And that's the sad part about it. You have the incentive to spend more with that card. You get those rewards on your name and on your membership, but then what ends up happening is you're not using it. For the people that actually use it, now let's talk about those, the smaller percentage of the pack. The people that actually want to use those reward miles, what is happening is they have to book with the airline trips, but the overall experience usually suffers. To hit that price point where the airline would give you with your miles a free flight to Asia or to Europe, actually you have to go through hoops and you have to have maybe multiple connecting flights. Not one connection, but 2 or 3 multiple segments for your flight. So that makes it for a very long flight, very exhausting flight with a lot of connections, and overall it's a hassle. It's not really worth it. So overall you're better off buying the trip whenever you're ready, save up that money, spend those $1,000, put it aside every month with your paycheck, and then buy the ticket that you want, get the seat that you want with the legroom that you want, and in the time of the day that's convenient for you to fly. So don't fall into that trap. So what are the key takeaways? If you have to have a credit card to build up your credit history, by all means, have one. But what I would like to advise you is pick a credit card which has a very low interest rate. So shop around for such a credit card rather than shopping around for the one that gives you the best rewards or the best perks. Don't fall in the trap of miles, cashback, etc. Stick for the credit card which gives you the lowest interest, because that's ultimately going to help you build your credit history debt-free. It's a high likelihood that you're going to have less debt if you opt in for that kind of credit card. Also, my other key takeaway is that using credit cards in general it's a frictionless experience for you, so it tricks your mind to spend more. So use them if you really, really have to. Otherwise, try to stay away as much as possible, because that's going to, again, give you the best, you're going to be on the path of becoming financially independent as you stay away from temptations. Just like alcoholics, when you tell alcoholic just have one drink, it's hard for them to have one drink. Or somebody that has a tendency to, let's say, smoke. If you have them, okay, you can smoke 1 cigarette a week. Now that's going to be really, really difficult for a smoker to overcome this burden. So you get the analogy. Now, what are the things that you can do to sort of battle that instinct and that ease of use of credit cards, mobile pay, etc., which is essentially most likely hindering your financial progress? Now, the number one thing that you can do is put away the credit card. I mean, you have to have one, obviously, okay, but if you can use a debit card instead, that might be a better option for you, because with a debit card, you still get the same features. For example, as you shop, you've got protection, but the benefit is that with a debit card, you only use up money that you have in the bank account. Not only that, but you can also even set up triggers or alerts that with every transaction with your debit card, you can have your bank send you a text message or notification where you can see the remaining balance of your card. And that's really, really helpful. That's personally what I do, is because that reminds me every time I use a plastic debit card, I have absolute awareness of how much I've got left in my bank account. Also, if you want to stay away from the credit card, another option for you is, in order to feel that pain that we just said, you don't feel it because you only can actually have that emotion of money leaving your wallet when you pay cash. So in order to somewhat feel the pain, what you can also do with a credit card is you can have a habit of you every day basically to record all the expenses that you've done when you used your credit card. That will consciously put you in a mode where you're aware of your spending habits, you're recording each one of them. If you can do it by hand, not using an application or using your computer and Excel file, that's even better, because it has to do with the way our brain processes things when we write them down as opposed to typing them up. But be that as it may, as long as you do something that tracks your spending, that's going to help you a lot with your credit card. Now, if you want to be more radical, what you can do is you can put your credit card, take it out of the wallet, put it aside, put it in a drawer somewhere, and only use it whenever you have to. And then you need to plan when you need to have your credit card around you in order to use it. The rest of the time, you can force yourself to use cash. And imagine you'll be in a situation, it's inconvenient, I agree, but you'll be in a situation where you can only spend the cash that you have with you. Now, that's a very radical step, I agree, but for people that have problem with debt and they're in that extreme where they need help to resist that temptation of using their credit card and overspending, that's probably a good approach. It's a good way to become more disciplined. So to sum it up, in this video we talked about why credit cards are bad. I didn't say, I want to go on record, I didn't say they're evil, but they're hindering your financial progress. Again, statistically, most of the people, on average, they don't pay off their credit card. They end up being in debt, and that's causing them to not be able to win the game of financial independence, let me put it this way. So having a credit card, you can't win the game. You think with the perks and the cashback that you're actually taking advantage of the banks, but as I've laid out in this episode, I hope it came across that you're not winning, you're not screwing the bank, so to speak, but they're actually taking advantage of you because they're making you spend more because of that frictionless experience. So thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, please comment, subscribe, let me know what you think, and I will see you in the next episode.